Perhaps what we've not made mention enough of is how well running Paul di Resta is. Up there in P4, he qualified really well. He's been on the back of Edo Mortara for some laps and has never looked likely to pass necessarily Edo Mortara, but he's there and he's there with him. But great running from Paul di Resta, the best we've seen. He's up to P4. Here is our race leader, Marco Wittmann then. I wonder if he did make another small error. If he did, it will be the second one.
Exactly. The sector times are so evenly matched. I was just thinking that Rocky looked a bit nearer, but in the sector he's actually a few thousandths slower. So although he is closer, maybe this is Marco Wittmann now being able to turn up the wick once again. It was 3.7 last time around, and here coming up towards the chicane it's up to 3.8. Yeah, straight away he responds, you see. So Mike Rockenfeller being teased a bit here by Marco Wittmann. Thinks, yes, I'm getting a bit closer, and then Wittmann just edges away ever so slightly again. End of lap 41 now. Marco Wittmann comes out of the Coca-Cola curve. He goes over the timing line. Here comes Mike Rockenfeller past the busy grandstands, and he's 3.8 seconds back. And on that lap, Wittmann was the quicker of the two.
So we go on board with Mike Rockenfeller down through turn one. Pushing the Audi for all it's worth, but as you've said, Marco Wittmann just playing with him a little bit, isn't he? The margin between the two seesaws by a couple of tenths here and there, but Marco Wittmann really appears to be able to manage this and manage that gap back to Mike Rockenfeller as well. He's got a very comfortable cushion, and well, the two things that may have affected things perhaps towards the later stages of the race: rain and or safety car.
Neither of which come, and of course now with di Resta edging closer to Mortara, he's having to think about defending, and so Mortara dropping further away from Rockenfeller, which makes any switch for second place less likely, although that rather dark cloud is not that far away from the circuit now, but it's high enough maybe not to become a big problem. But a bit of rain late in the race would jolly things along, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it just?
Although Wolfgang Schattling told us, won't rain.
It won't, so why are we even considering it? So there is our race leader, Marco Wittmann. Rockenfeller looks demonstrably closer now.
Yeah, but 3.3, he is a little bit closer. He's shaved off just under half a second. But he needs to do that lap after lap. And Wittmann there a bit wide at turn one.
Yeah. Right. Calculator, notebook, armed with David Addison alongside me as we start to look here. So it's Marco Wittmann then just beginning to struggle a little bit. Mike Rockenfeller, the 2013 champion.
I was just looking to see on what lap they came in. They're only apart by one, so Rockenfeller's tyres are 1 lap fresher. I don't think it's much of a difference, to be fair. But is Wittmann starting to struggle for any other reason now? Yep, he's lost another 2 tenths in the first sector. He's on a 43.7, played a 43.5. It is coming down.
So all of a sudden, Mike Rockenfeller will be able to sniff the opportunity here, where he lapped 42 or 49. You can see they are closer as they head towards the ENG chicane.
Middle sector time, Wittmann fractionally faster, 36 thousandths faster in that middle sector. He could, of course, just be driving within himself and making sure that nothing goes wrong. There's no point winning or trying to win by 20 seconds and throwing it off. If he wins by 2 tenths, it's a win.
Yes.
You don't get extra points for the margin. Over the timing line they have come. Wittmann's lap is a 25.5, Rockenfeller a 25.4. The gap is down to 3.2 seconds. He's creeping up onto the back of Wittmann, but Marco has just looked so strong all weekend. He still, I think, will be okay up front.
Well, of course, once Mike Rockenfeller, if he could get into that DRS window.
Yeah, that's going to help, sure.
And I was just looking at the black clouds as well. I mean, it could all happen on the last lap, couldn't it? Everything could happen.
So, how close does he need to be before the DRS works? That's the target for him now. He can do some of the work, and then technology can do the rest. 3.3 is the gap in the first sector. Here is Jamie Green versus Martin Tomczyk. Now, this is for 8th place. Tomczyk, remember, is the first of those now running on options. And finally, he's caught up with somebody on the prime tyre. So this is a proper fight for position. It is for 8th place.
So Jamie Green then in the all-orange car. Then it is Martin Tomczyk who is running on the option tyres, which are the faster tyres. And not only that, of course, he'll have DRS available to him too. So Tomczyk, now he has made that gap up and got on the back of Jamie Green, shouldn't have too much difficulty, I would have thought.
Rockenfeller, just out of interest, is quicker in Sector 1 and Sector 2 on this lap than Wittmann. So 3.2 it started at. It should be less as they go across the timing line. You're watching Green versus Tomczyk, but the lead gap is down to 2.9 seconds as they start lap 45.
Another 9/10, and Rocky's going to be in that window, isn't he, of opportunity for using DRS.
Interesting. This is Martin Tomczyk, who is not finding it easy to get past Jamie Green, but in theory he should not, because Green out-qualified him significantly. Tomczyk to the outside, and Jamie Green stands his ground for 8th place. The British driver repels the former champion. So remember that Jamie Green was 4th on the grid, Martin Tomczyk was 17th. So, Jamie Green, even allowing for tyres, has, under natural circumstances, the quicker car.
This is where Tomczyk will try and line him up now. Going into turn 1, he'll try and dive up the inside of Jamie Green and go through at turn 1. Well, Jamie Green covers off that line, so Tomczyk will try and do it with superior traction on a switchback here. A little bit of a lock-up from Jamie Green, and that gifted the opportunity to Tomczyk. He didn't have to work too hard for it in the end.
Actually waved him by, didn't he?
Yeah,
As
he did, rather.
Leading gap is down in Sector 1 by another 10th or so. They've just completed Sector 2. Wittmann has gone through and he's 100th quicker than Rockenfeller. It's still elasticated, this gap. There they are, but to the eye, Rockenfeller is closer.
Yes.
He's going to run out of laps if he's not careful. Rockenfeller has got to push like crazy here. Over the line, 2.9 seconds last time. Rockenfeller at work, comes past the pits. And the clock stops at 2.7. He's got to find 7/10, and then he's within that DRS window. He's within range to use the DRS. Okay, 7/10 may not sound a lot, but it is in DTM terms, because these cars trade thousands, never mind tenths. Marco Wittmann in replay at the chicane, and he will be aware that Rockenfeller is closing.
Just going to say, we've seen a mistake from Marco Wittmann, and we don't often see those. And I just wonder whether he is being harried now, and whether he is, that's beginning to affect. He's been clean, concise, hasn't he, for lap after lap after lap from the start of the race. But all of a sudden, just towards the sharp end of the race.
Well, in Sector 1, Mike Rockenfeller half a second faster. So he's virtually done the work, hasn't he? Because it was a 44.3. As there you see Jamie Green losing out now to Pascal Wehrlein, who goes up on the inside for 9th place. But come the end of the lap, Mike Rockenfeller is almost going to be up with Marco Wittmann. As we get towards the very end of the race, Wittmann responds in Sector 2, pulls out another 10th. So some of Mike Rockenfeller's work is undone, but there, again, you can see how much closer he's got. So 2.7 seconds it was. A prediction would be it's going to be about 2.3 by the end of the lap, but we'll see as they come over the timing line now. Wittmann goes through, Rockenfeller goes through, starting lap 47. It's 2.1 seconds, in fact.
This is going to be absolutely fascinating.
It's building up nicely, isn't it, towards the end. Rockenfeller the quicker over that lap. He knows that there's a lot riding on this. Home circuit for Phoenix, his home circuit in many respects as well. Audi yet to win this year. If he could pull this out of the bag on the last lap, he would be the hero of the hour, as Jamie Green is about to get mugged again, because up on the inside now goes Robert Wickens. He works his way past as well, so it's, I'm afraid, now a case where the option tyres cars are working their way up the order a little, but of course so much time lost early on, they can't do much for overall position. Tomczyk 41 seconds down on Wittmann, for example. Sector 1, 4/10, pulled back by Rockenfeller.
So there is Rocky. There is our race leader, Marco Wittmann. You can just see on screen just how much closer they are now. So there is Marco Wittmann. 1.8 the margin between them. The gap between them, that is the margin of comfort that Marco Wittmann has, which is dramatically reduced. Who's he going to come up against? Vitaly Petrov, isn't it?
I think you're right. Up towards the timing line, it was 2.1 seconds. It is now 1.8 seconds. Rockenfeller is pushing as hard as he can. He's being urged on by the Phoenix team on the pit wall, down towards turn 1. Right, we've got 2 laps to go. Has Mike Rockenfeller got enough time left in order to get close enough to use that DRS. He's just about in the right place, but he needs to be using this, and he needs to be getting up onto the back of that BMW.
Now. There he is. Mike Rockenfeller. He's had his problems this season, that's for sure, and this will be absolutely fantastic for him here at the Nurburgring. And Marco Wittmann is going to have the effectively backmarking Vitaly Petrov car, which causes no problems at all because Vitaly Petrov has virtually come to a stop to let these two through.
So sector 1, Rockenfeller 3/10 quicker. They're about to come to the end of sector 2, speed building. You can see that Marco Wittmann's car is getting bigger ahead, which means we're getting closer. We're riding with Mike Rockenfeller through the Vidal corner and now up towards the NGK chicane, and he has pulled back another 300ths in that second sector, which is all about speed. And coming up towards the start of the last lap, I still think Wittmann is going to hang on to this, but Rockenfeller is getting closer and closer and closer.
Right, as they head down towards turn 1, they'll cross the start-finish line. Marco Wittmann in the lead. Mike Rockenfeller, I don't think is going to be close enough to be able to have a go at him into turn 1.
But he's taken 4/10 out of him, Dave, so that gap is down to 1.4 with a lap to go.
So there is Wittmann. What he needs not to do now is to make an error, because Rocky would be all over him. So Marco Wittmann leading. Mike Rockenfeller has slowly been pulling that margin down, and now he is getting ever closer to the BMW of Marco Wittmann that has led from the off in this race here at the Nurburgring. Is it all going to change right at the very end of the race? Who knows? It is a possibility. Mike Rockenfeller is throwing absolutely everything at it.
The other question is, why has Wittmann been losing the time? He looked so strong early on, and over these last, 10 laps, gradually the pace has gone out of that car. What is it that late in the race has cost him that time and has given Rockenfeller a sniff of the win?
Well, we won't necessarily know the answer to that yet. As they run down now onto the back straight here, this is where Mike Rockenfeller will give absolutely everything, and he'll close right up behind Marco Wittmann. Through the NGK chicane they go. Wittmann, to be fair, was smooth through there. I think you're right. I think he's done enough. So he turns around the Coca-Cola turn and heads towards the checkered flag, and Marco Wittmann takes another win. Mike Rockenfeller chased him over the last laps all the way to the checkered flag. Vitaly Petrov is a back-marking car. Here comes Eduardo Mortara, who will take P3. Paul di Resta, P4. Danny Juncadella, P5.
And then it's going to be Christian Vitores, who will take 6th ahead of Maxime Martin. And Martin Tomczyk should be on for 8th ahead of Wickens and Wehrlein to round out the top 10. But it was a bit heart in mouth towards the end, wasn't it? But Marco Wittmann, the winner by 1.2 seconds. It was close, but I'm still intrigued to know what it was that was costing him the time. And certainly Mike Rockenfeller gave it his all. And that is a 4th win of the year for Marco Wittmann. He's getting closer towards that championship,
yes,
isn't he?
Very much so. Very much so.
So the field pouring over the line. Jamie Green goes through in the end. 15th he fell to after the fact that the option-tired cars started to get up ahead of him. Let's hear from Jens Marquardt, because that's a great result for Wittmann and the championship, isn't it?
It certainly is. Jens Marquardt, that really was a big step towards the championship. Yet another win of Wittmann, the 4th win this season. How do you feel?
Well, fantastic race, exciting race. Marco did such a brilliant job out there, and but also Martin and Maxime. I mean, they came from quite far back, and 3 cars in the top 10 on the race like this today. This was a very tough job, but the guys did really well. But Marco is just outstanding, and I'm super proud.
He really is. But one quick question: the car was losing a bit of pace in between. Did you get nervous at all between the race?
Well, just at the end a little bit, because obviously, Rocky was catching up, but those 2 guys were anyway.
Team, as we have a look at how we finished in round 7.
Marco Wittmann took the win from Mike Rockenfeller, P2. P3 was Eduardo Mortara. Then we saw a brilliant finish from Paul di Resta to take P4, Danny Juncadella, P5. Then it was Christian Vitores, Maxime Martin, Martin Tomczyk, Robert Wickens, Pascal Wehrlein, Adrian Tombe, and Bruno Spengler, with Antonio Felix da Costa, Joey Hand, P14. Then it was Jamie Green and Gary Paffett, and then Timo Glock and Vitaly